I told you guys I was going to talk about why power washing, pressure washing, hot water pressure washing, soft washing, why they are actually so very, very similar to each other. And there's really not a lot of differences. People are generally like, what do you mean easy? I thought there's a huge difference between soft washing and pressure washing. Well, there is stylistically, but you're accomplishing the exact same end goal. You're trying to treat and clean a surface. But also, too, there are two primary elements between pressure washing, soft washing, hot water pressure washing, and I want to explain that to you guys so there's absolute clarity of what we're trying to accomplish. And nobody talks about this. Nobody talks about this out there in the exterior cleaning industry, especially in the pressure washing industry. Okay? So let me talk about two planes that exist, that whether it's pressure washing, hot water pressure washing, power washing, or soft washing, how all of these are all very, very similar to each other. And what it basically revolves around is two different planes that are happening. Okay? When you look at all types of exterior cleaning, pressure washing, hot water pressure washing, power washing, or soft washing, the two planes that you look at are cut. How do you get under that stain? How do you get under it and lift it and get it to a point where you can get it off the surface and move? Cut and move. And those are the two planes that exist in all types of exterior cleaning. Even if you're using a brush, cut and rinse, move. See what I'm saying? Cut and move. So when you look at a pressure washer, if I take a pressure washer here, okay, your cut on a pressure washer is pressure, and your move, and some of you guys have heard this term before, is gallons per minute, or GPM. So if you're looking at like a 5-gallon a minute pressure washer, your GPM would be 5 gallon a minute, your pressure would be 4,000 PSI. And they make pressure washers out there that are 8 gallons a minute and 3,000 PSI. And the pressure is what gets you under that stain. It's the cut. It's the thing that starts to disrupt the stain on the surface. And then the move is GPM. So now if we go over to a hot water pressure washer here, what would be your cut? Heat. You're already catching on. Okay? So we've got heat. And what would be your move?
Water.
Gallons per minute, GPM.
Wouldn't your pressure still be cut as well, in addition to the heat?
Yeah, but primarily your difference between this mode and this mode is we added heat.
Right, I got you.
We added heat, okay? So now there's a huge debate out there about, is this the same as this? Is power washing and pressure washing the same thing? And back about 5 years ago, the powers that be, the minds out there, the great consortium out there in the pressure washing world, decided that pressure washing was water under pressure and power washing was when you started to introduce chemicals. So when you're talking about downstream injectors, pre-treating surfaces, you're using then the power of chemicals to help with that disruption of the surface, and then a pressure washer to rinse that away. So if under power washing we're introducing chemicals, what would be the cut for power washing? It would be chemicals and pressure. It would be similar here. This would be heat and pressure. Okay? Here would be chemicals and pressure. Okay? And then what would be your move? Okay, GPM. Are you seeing a theme here? So now when we go from pressure for pressure washing to GPM, to hot water pressure, heat and pressure and GPM, and power washing is now we're introducing some chemicals and pressure to go ahead and cut, and GPM to then move it away and get it off of that surface. What is soft washing? It's all chemicals. Okay? And I'll tell you one other thing that we're leveraging in this. If this can be chemicals and pressure washing, and this can be heat and pressure washing, this right here, it is chemicals and pH. Because what do we know about pH? If you're using a sodium hydroxide cleaner over here, what do you know about pH? pH is going to be that disruptor, it's going to be that astringent, it's going to be that thing that gets in and is going to be the cut. So here, we don't have any pressure. There's no pressure to help here. You've got a 5.5 gallon a minute, 90 PSI, 12 volt pump. That ain't going to take anything off the surface. Doesn't matter how close you get, it isn't going to rinse anything off the surface. Okay? You got no pressure aiding you there, but what you have when you turn up or turn down that bleach, you're not only turning up the cleaning and down the cleaning ability, you're turning up the pH. The more bleach you add to something, the higher pH it makes it. That's why with soft wash systems chemicals, they're all below 10 on the pH scale, so they'll ship non-hazardous. How do you get soft wash systems chemicals out in the field to activate and cut more? Well, even if it's a non-organic stain and you don't need bleach for the bleaching effect, you can grab that toner 12 knob, turn up that sodium hypochlorite, increase the pH, thereby increasing the pH of the Terra Wash or the Green Wash or whatever product you're using from soft wash systems, and that becomes your cut, chemicals and pH, and what's your move?
Same thing.
It's the same thing. It's that 7 gallon a minute, 110 PSI, rinse DC plus that we put on our trucks. It is GPM, gallons per minute. Now, when you get into water savings here, how much water are you using here?
Depends on the machine, right? 5 gallons.
A 5 gallon a minute machine, you're using 5 gallons a minute all the time because your cut and your move rely on the machine.
Yeah.
What about here?
Same thing.
What about here?
Same thing.
You might be saving some water here. You see how we're starting to go, now we're talking about water.
Yeah.
Water's a precious commodity on this earth. We're all 4.5 pounds of chemicals, and what's the rest of us? Water, okay? So now we look at, if we pre-treat it with chemicals, we might not have to have that pressure washer running as long. Are we saving some water here?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now here, chemicals do most of the work, and you are using a 7 gallon a minute rinse pump, but how long are you using it?
Couple minutes.
Just a few minutes. So now you can see this natural evolution that has happened in the cleaning industry, going from pressure washing, it running the whole time, it's noisy, it's loud, you're relying for it on the cut and the move. The entire time you're using it, it's using 5 to 8 gallons a minute. It's very wasteful. It's very noisy. It uses fuel, okay? To heat, a lot of fuel. Heat runs the burner, heat runs the pressure washer, heat's making it go a little quicker. It's disrupting the surface a little more on the cut. It's moving it a little faster, you use a little less water. Here, we're using chemicals and pressure. Pressure washer's not running as long. You can see this evolution, this growth path we've had towards the more sustainable, more ecologically responsible soft washing, till finally you get here where you're utilizing the chemicals and the pH to disrupt the surface, create the cut, and very little water for the move. And you end up using, right here, 1/3 the water
Wow.
that pressure washing does. And that's going to be huge in the next several years because the population, even with COVID, isn't being reduced that much. It's growing. We're all 4.5 pounds of dry chemicals. The rest of us is water. Nobody's making water on this earth anymore. All we have is all we have. And as we have to start looking at conserving that great resource, everything's going to turn to soft washing, and you're already seeing that in the industry today. Pretty cool?
Yeah.
Okay? So to have this in your head while we're going through the